Ukraine's counteroffensive in the Luhansk region has been slowed. Luhansk governor says that, quote, many Ukrainians expected the deoccupation of Luhansk region to be as quick as Kharkiv. He says that's not happening because when the Kharkiv counteroffensive was being conducted, so many Russian forces fled, they retreated. They ended up in the Luhansk region and are now acting as a kind of reinforcement there, slowing the Ukrainian counter-advance. Meanwhile, Russian forces continue trying to take the city of Bakhmut in the Donetsk region. This is a city that if the Russian forces were to take it, they would be able to press forward and have a line into Kramatorsk and Sloviansk. These are Ukrainian strongholds. They'd also be able to disrupt Ukrainian supply lines in the region. For 5 months now, Russia has been pounding that city with rockets. Prior to the war, Bakhmut was a salt mining town with 73,000 people. Now, according to the governor, 90% of the people have fled. It's been a city that's been laid to waste. President Volodymyr Zelenskyy describes the kind of meat grinder warfare that is occurring there. He says day after day, for months, they, meaning the Russian armed forces, have been driving people there to their deaths, concentrating the maximum power of artillery strikes there. Now in the south, in Kherson, members of the Moscow-backed administration have mostly fled, along with about 70,000 civilians who've been evacuated, though Ukraine characterizes that as a deportation. We should note, though, that while civilians may have left and the politicians may have left, the soldiers haven't. In fact, they've been reinforcing their defensive positions there. According to the British Ministry of Defense, in September, a company of about 100 people was only manned by about 6 to 8 soldiers. They've been bolstered by reservists sent from Russia. According to Russia's defense minister, 82,000 reservists from Russia have now been sent. These are the recently mobilized troops to the front lines in Ukraine. There's another 218,000 that are continuing training in Russia, and those will be complementing some of the elite Russian soldiers that were sent there for weeks and months prior in anticipation of this Kherson counteroffensive. President Volodymyr Zelenskyy describes it this way: I don't see them fleeing Kherson, referring to the Russian armed forces. Their most trained soldiers are now in position. And the British Ministry of Defense sees what's happening in the south, and they characterize it as really a defensive line. They have said, quote, in the last 6 weeks, there's been a clear move from Russian ground forces to transition to a long-term defensive posture on most areas of the front line in Ukraine. So while the initiative is with Ukrainian forces, make no mistake, this is going to be a bloody battle. The Ukraine's defense minister characterizes it this way: he expects, quote, the heaviest of battles to occur in Kherson.